Let's take a look at direct data calls within Zesty. A direct data call is when you don't necessarily want to loop through an entire data set, but you just want to directly access one entry within that data set. So let's take a look at my example here. I have a blog, and in my sidebar, I'm looping through a set of articles. And within those articles, there's an author assigned to each article, which you can see the image and you can also click through and it'll take you to that author's page. Now I want to do that in my main section as well. I have another loop here looping through some articles and displaying some content within those articles. And I want to display the author's name, the image, and also click through its URL. Now I don't necessarily want to create another each loop that's going to be nested within my article loop. I just want to directly access the one author that is assigned to the one article we're looping in. Let's take a look at what that looks like in the content section. So here is my articles page set. And when I click into one article and go down to a relational field, which I called author, it displays a list of author names here. This relational field is related to another page set called authors. So when I click into that, you can see the list of authors that is displayed in the dropdown. And we can see how that relational field was created in the schema by taking a look at the grouped view articles and then going into the one-to-one relationship field, which we called author, and you can see it was related to the author's page set and is displaying the names. So let's template that into our editor. So within the editor, we have our each loop with articles, which we gave a variable name of article, and the rest of it's HTML and Parsley, which is templated in, which displays as we saw earlier. Now here's my placeholder for the author URL, for the author name, and the author image. And this is where we want to do our direct data calls. So I'm going to start out with double braces. Now, the difference between direct data calls and each loops is that an each loop would jump into each after double braces. Here we don't need to type in each. We're just going to type in the page set name, which in this case was authors. So let's give that authors, and then we'll type in dot, and that's going to give you the options you have for direct data calls. So you can filter, you can call the very first item within that page set, the last item, or a random item. We're going to go through filter because we want to access a very specific author that matches the relational field within that article. Now, relational fields are related by their ZUID. So I want to match this author's ZUID to this article's author field ZUID. So let's start out by calling the author's ZUID by typing z.ZUID. And here's the option. And then equals, we'll give it a single quote and then single brace and call the article variable and then dot author. So there it is. And then close out that single brace and single quote. And then we'll also close out that parentheses. So within that filter, we are filtering through all of the authors with the ZUID equal to this article's author, which, as we mentioned, the author is actually a ZUID because it's a relational field. So now that we've closed out that filter, we can now do another dot, and that's going to display all of the fields that are available for authors, which in this case we want to get URL. And now we can close out our double braces. And we'll do the same thing for the author name. So we're going to filter through authors, so authors, and then dot filter, open parentheses, z.zooid is equal to single quotes, single brace, article.author. Close those out, close that, and then dot, and this time we want to get the name, and then close that out. And we'll do the same thing for image, but because we're filtering through this same Zooid here, I can just copy my filter. Let me clear out my placeholder. Copy and paste that, and then give it a dot, and we're going to call the image. We still need to get the image with the second dot, because dot image would only give us a Zooid, so we have a get image call, and then we can close out that call. So now if I save that and we take a look at what that looks like on our template, here you can see now it's looping through each of those articles and giving it that author. Now there's some styling here that I have within my image. I actually want it to be this kind of proportional circle, and it's giving it this sort of oval shape. So I'm going to crop that image within my call. So let's give it a 56 by 56 and then crop that. So that way it's a little more proportional. Refresh that. And there it is. And when I click into my author, it's going to take me to that author's URL. Now, a mistake a lot of developers will make is, for example, within the name call, let's highlight that. Within the name call, they'll do something like article, which is the loop we're in, and then dot author. Let's see what that'll give us. Let's go back to my home page and see the name now is displaying as a Zooid, and that's because, as we mentioned, the relationship is created with Zooids. So the only way to access really that author's information is by doing a direct data call. So I'll just go ahead and replace that again. And that is how you create direct data calls within Zesty.